An apple that falls from the tree, wind that blows around us, spheres that stare upon us, sight that reflects the past, light that never turns around, time that can roam around, space that can bend, distance that disappears, positions that interchange, things that can be one and many at once, objects that can relate to partners at infinity, energy that drains but still stays infinite. Reality is not that realistic. Disclaimer. This video is just me flushing my mind. Take everything I say in this video with a whole load of salt. I am no professional. In any ways and everything in this video is either my observations or complete baseless theories. Take whatever will benefit you from this. Think it through, or just leave it, but never take it as it is. Thanks. Let's start from the known and get to the unknown. So, water. The one thing that we all know as a mysterious object. Water has many behavior. It takes the shape of whatever it is contained it, in flow in the general gravitational direction, stays together as a sphere in space or higher density liquid while moving, including air. And then there's buoyancy. Buoyancy, how does it work? If a liquid has higher density than other liquids, then the other liquids get to the surface of that liquid. Meaning less denser objects float in denser liquids, or things that vibrate when excess energy is applied. Now, instead of using less denser objects, you can do it the other way around by increasing the volume. This is how submarines work. But when you do this in a way that you increase so much volume of an object that you just can't use potential energy to stay inside the dense liquid. After a point, what happens is you almost get teleported. The liquid literally spits you out, and you will feel as if everything above almost 45 degrees of you just kicked you on the back, and the next moment you're on the surface. Now, the reason this behavior happens is due to pressure. A scenario where multiple similar particles try to equip the specific amount of space-volume they need in ratio to their mass to stay stable, meaning as less movement as possible, with other similar-sized particles. Now, theoretically, this in a larger scale at a different level in nature is what we call a wormhole. A place that's just too heavy to stay in space after a certain energy is added to it. The moment it gets extra energy, something enters it is spitted out for stabilization due to excess pressure from unknown. And since this is a wavy behavior, there is almost no speed limit. But when I think of it this way and find this behavior almost possible, in higher scale, I wondered why not lower. If we take an atom as mixture of subatomic particles and light, being one at almost similar size or energy as some of them. When light enters an atom, it should feel more pressure than in outer space. Meaning light should slow down in an atom, and in turn, if light really did have mass, then the atom should get bloated. Meaning either it should get more dense than its volume losing equilibrium, or get more volume than its density, in a way that the only way it can survive this way is either it changes the energy of entire system or transfer its energy or divide and become individual subatomic particles. And I think this because with excess pressure, after a point, water heats up and becomes water vapor. Now, if light does slow down inside of different atoms differently, it does explain a lot about why light's frequency and wavelength change when hitting different materials. Well, that's a completely different theory that I've been working on and don't have enough to explain that is a realistic manner yet. Though what led me to all this is the almost fact that yes, subatomic particles does behave this way. The increase in volume due to extra energy is called heat. Heat gets transferred internally, which just bloats all atoms in that system by transferring energy in a wavy format. Now, when certain atoms that has a tendency to take in electrons gets excess energy, they don't transfer it as heat. Meaning they do transfer it, but they hold the heat in for a longer period of time. So energy don't get overlapped or just gets transferred from one place to other. Now you might be thinking this is complete BS. If you are not, then you might be thinking, shouldn't holding heat longer make it more bloated and heat up faster since more energy will come to it before its heat can escape? At first I thought this too, but what I didn't thought then was that energy always flows to the easiest target. Meaning things that can hold higher pressure for longer acts as a regulator, jock limiter for the whole system. Kind of like how cooking frozen steak works in order to distribute temperature. So unless it has nowhere to go fast enough, like if there's no way to keep transferring it, tries to go out as radiation. But radiating is a lot slower than heat transfer, even though they are almost same thing at deeper levels. So the energy builds up and the system heats up. Now, if this is all accurate, like at least 50% accurate, I know this is probably going to be almost 0% accurate, but there's always a chance I wasn't hallucinating. So if it's 50% accurate, then boy do I have more for you. This is where the real disclaimer comes in. After this point, all I am saying is 99% complete or BS, so PLS take it as entertainment than knowledge. So I believe that there's only one rule in our world, my theory of everything. And that is every particle that has similar mass as another wants to repel each other in a way that the distance between them and the distance between whatever similar particles is in both their opposite directions need to be equal in a way that it stabilizes their individual volume to mass ratio at infinite distance. Now you might be thinking, how is infinite distance even possible? Nothing in reality behaves that way. What complete nonsense. Now why I think that happens is because every dense particle is made out of smaller particles, and they made out of even smaller particles and so on almost infinitely. Now if this is true, then that explains why reality works the way it does. All I am saying is that, yes, size does matter, but so does density. When two balls are close enough, they see each other individually. But when two balls are too far away, yes, they do not see each other. Since there will be so much noise made out of smaller particles in space that the particles that made the ball will start individually interacting with the possibly radiation in space. This explains almost every behavior of real life. If the only rule is that particles need to face each other and they need to see each other for Than. And when they do, they can attain their individualism by maintaining pressure. This really does explain why a single photon makes the interference patterns and what waves really are in my dictionary. Okay, that's all. I don't know how much of what I wanted to say I missed, so it might have turned out to be even more BS, but thanks for listening to my BS, and I guess it's sayonara. See y'all in the next video.